Hello everyone, Mark1Q1 here to talk about the Dragon Hunter, something that I have gotten along quite a bit better with than the Chronomancer, because there's a little bit less to them. Well, that's not fair. You can play them quite tactfully, I suppose, if you were dragging enemies into all of your traps, because that is the big focus with this class, traps. They are the new utilities you'll be getting. But first off, let's talk about the bow itself. Because that is their new weapon. So the bow abilities are pretty standard affair for bows, from my meager, admittedly, experience with my warrior using a bow. You have your big AoE kind of 5 ability. You have a nice symbol that you can place down, which has a really good looking AoE ring, I might add. And that's pretty good because you've got some synergy there with your specialization line, if you choose to. As you can see, I get a little bit of vulnerability when I throw it down, as well as some other stuff when I'm actually standing in a symbol. I think it's Fury. So, no, it's bigger, I guess. Anyway, not quite as useful. Deflecting shot, which fires a missile. Let's have a look. I quite like this one actually. This reminds me a little bit of the. Yeah, it reminds me a little bit of the Warhorn lightning ability for, I think the 4th Warhorn lightning ability for Elise and Tempest. And then you have True Shot, which is piercing. I'll just go for as many enemies as possible. And then you got your standard number 1, which throws down cripples on enemies, and I have tried to build around that actually, because you kind of can. So you'll probably see a lot of my stuff has cripples on it. Anyway, there's also the 3 new versions of the virtues up here, which is Spear of Justice, hurl a Spear of Light that passes through foes. Enemies struck become tethered and receive burning periodically. Not too bad. Obviously the passives for all 3 of these aren't too different. Some of them are the exact same as the previous virtue passives, but the actual effects themselves are quite different. Like Wings of Resolve here. I use this one particularly at the moment, considering I'm using a bow, to jump in and then swap the Great Sword, throw down my symbol, and then start pumping away damage. So that's pretty good. I like that. It's got good utility there, and heals all the other people around you, which is quite nice. Quite a big heal as well. And then there's Shield of Courage, which creates a shield in front of you that blocks attacks for you and allies. Didn't use this one much, not going to lie. I kind of just threw it out there when I wasn't doing anything else. Sounds like it would be quite useful, especially if you could the more telegraphed kind of attacks that you can block, for instance. Anyway, then you have the new heal utilities and elite skills, which are all traps, because like I say, that's the big focus here. So Purification is the healing trap. Heal yourself and imbue your light into a trap. Enemies that trigger this trap are damaged and blinded as the light returns to you for a 2nd heal. So basically, what you're going to probably do in this one is you're going to be running around, maybe you get attacked, you throw this one down, you get an initial little 1000 heal from it, and then the enemy that's chasing you will probably run through it or something, assuming that's what's going down. Maybe you place it down at range and just have an enemy run into it or something like that, or a player. Not sure. But personally for me, not the kind of heal I would like to use, so I actually have been just using the Signet of Resolve, but interesting nonetheless. And then there's Test of Faith here, one of the 4 new utilities. Lay a trap that creates a ring of weapons that punish enemies that attempt to cross their threshold. Now, I have been using this one for the cripple specifically, and you'll see why in a bit. In my experience, it's been quite good. Not too bad at all. Damage isn't amazing, but like I said, it's mainly for the cripple. Fragments of Faith. Lay a trap that deals damage and unleashes multiple fragments into the area. When triggered, each fragment grants Aegis to allies, as long as they don't already have Aegis. I have also been using this one. And again, I don't really know a lot about... Okay, I know what Aegis is, I know what it does, all these other things, but I don't generally use it. I am quite the Ellie scrub, as it turns out, as I've only really come to realise when playing all of these new classes. Well, not new classes, sorry, the elite specialisations. Anyway, Procession of Blades. I have not used this one yet. Set a trap that whirls around and damages enemies when activated. Now this one actually sounds like it'd be quite good, especially for tagging things. And maybe just with, I don't know, in conjunction to the rest of your traps, if you just like completely screwed a guy by him running into all of your traps all placed on the same friggin' spot. That would be quite funny. Other than that though, I don't know. Light's Judgment. Lay down a trap that creates an area of pure light that reveals enemies and pierces their armor. Now, this one I can see getting a lot of use in SPVP, potentially just for that, you know, for getting rid of stealth, because stealth is a bitch. Really is. We definitely need more abilities that get rid of stealth in some capacity. Also, the vulnerability is not too shabby at all, although the damage is absolutely dreadful. But obviously that one would really primarily be used for the reveal and the vulnerability. So that's the utilities. And then you have Dragon's Maw as the elite trap. Lay a trap that pulls enemies and I think it means pulls enemies in and creates a barrier that holds them in. Ah, I see. Well, that would be a bit redundant. Okay. No, they got it right, don't worry. This one I have been using, as you can see, and it's pretty good. Sadly, that's most of what I have to say about the traps. Yeah, they're pretty good. You could probably play this class quite tactfully, or you could play it like I have been and just been, you know, throwing out all the damage because I'm a bit mindless with these things. Anyway, let's show you the tree, shall we? Not that. Dragon Hunter, here it is. Right, so the first three choices: Piercing Light, trap hits bleed enemies. Not bad if you're expecting to condition, I suppose. It doesn't appear to have any cooldown on it, so that's probably just going to stack up, I imagine. Zealot's Aggression, deal extra damage to crippled enemies. This is why I have most of my utility stuff giving off cripples. And it's why I'm using Shrapnel Mine, which I'm sure many people would be disgusted to see me using, as it is a racial ability. And to my knowledge, either a lot of people think they're underpowered or they definitely are underpowered. I'm not quite sure because I honestly don't really use them. Maybe that says something about them. I don't know. And then the elite, oh no, the elite gives off slow, not cripple, but still, whatever. Very useful for somebody who's trying to stay at range. Anyway, Soaring Devastation. Wings of Resolve delivers an attack upon landing. That actually would improve it quite a bit, personally. I don't think it's worth getting rid of the 7% increase to damage with cripples, especially when you consider I'm throwing out cripples on enemies with my one, you know, with my standard default ability, my one ability, you know. So I'm basically always going to have cripples on enemies. So while that actually isn't too bad, now I think about it, especially with that immobilized, certainly not something I'd be using. Defender's Dogma, blocking. Oh my! Blocking an attack causes Justice to reach its maximum charge. Now this obviously is going to help out when, you know, because you can throw out Aegis from quite a lot of these abilities. So that isn't too shabby at all. That will probably cause Justice to reach its maximum charge. I don't really know what that means, I will be completely honest with you. Hunter's Determination, true shot grants stability for each enemy struck. I suppose if that has a stacking effect, that would be quite good, yes. Bulwark, Shield of Courage is larger and lasts longer. Not too bad. Dulled Senses, enemies you knock back are crippled. Obviously I went with this because I'm going with the cripple them and get the damage buff kind of thing going on. Also, obviously I want them as far away as possible when using the bow. Pure of Sight, deal bonus damage to enemies beyond their range threshold. Naturally, that's obviously going to be very helpful for a Dragon Hunter. Apply protection in an area when activating a virtue. Well, you know, not too bad. I don't know how much use that's going to see, actually, to be fair, because naturally the virtues don't have tiny cooldowns. Well, Spear of Justice isn't too big, but you know, there are better ones. Heavy light, longbow arrows knock back when enemies are within the range threshold. See now, are you really going to go with Hunter's Fortification? Or are you going to go with heavy light? I don't know. Big Game Hunter. Striking enemy tethered by your Spear of Justice causes vulnerability and increases damage dealt. Now that's interesting. That's not too bad. Especially with that damage increase. If it was just the vulnerability, it would be kind of terrible. So, not a bad line. Not a bad line at all. Obviously focused on range damage and things like that. And the bow itself. So, what do I actually think? My general thoughts on Dragon Hunter and how it's played. It's closer in the territory of the Tempest, where, you know, it seems like you don't need to have quite as much thought behind the Dragon Hunter itself when playing it. I mean, I think you certainly could with the traps, like luring enemies into specific traps, and maybe setting up a little area where you're going to fight with your traps prior to actually engaging the enemy. But other than that, I think realistically this is one that you definitely can play on the fly and just throw out your damage and all that stuff. You don't need to do too much pre-planning or anything. But it's fun. It's fun to play. I have to give them that. Chronomancer could be fun, but it really wasn't my kind of thing, sadly. So yes, that's what I have to say about Dragon Hunter. It can be complicated, it doesn't need to be, and it's fun. So anyway, next time, and I think the final one of these, because we don't have another elite specialization in this beta, I will be talking about the Reaper.